I can't wait
today too.
I can't wait.
Right, we're setting up and it's connecting now Zoom to YouTube. And just give me a second to
can't wait today.
Perfect. YouTube is muted. I'm gonna welcome everybody and we're live, Alex. We're live in Zoom and YouTube.
Okay, awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are thrilled and super excited to do this inventory and sourcing webinar with Daneen, aka Fashionistas Fab Finds today. And I'm just going to give one more minute for people to join us, and then we're going to dive into intros and get started. Daneen, does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Oh, I love it. And for those of you that can't see, I think, Daneen, you got to lean in and show us these amazing Christmas themed earrings that we got today.
I had to be show some festivity for the holidays.
Love it. And I want to find those. I want them. Oh, I'm like obsessed with anything bling, as you guys may or may not know from my constant sparkly nails.
Oh, I like those. Those are very pretty.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's get started. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Alex Shadrow. I am the Chief Marketing Officer at List Perfectly, and I have been a reseller for 10 years, although I am semi-retired now to dedicate my time to all you amazing sellers of List Perfectly and the LP fam. So today is a webinar. List Perfectly takes great pride in our webinars because our mission is to help you work smarter, not harder. And today we are joined by an incredible super seller, as we call them, Daneen from Fashionistas Fab Finds. She is an incredible resource and leader in the community. She has been reselling for almost 10 years now. She is 20. A six-figure part-time seller with 5 figures on Posh. She's a multi-category, multi-platform seller. And I think that's really important to bring up, is that Daneen has expertise selling everything, not just clothes. And that is something we love at List Perfectly, because you can cross-list anything with List Perfectly, not just clothes. So that's awesome, Daneen, to get that feedback today. And she is a part-time reseller. During her free time, she works with charities and is always giving back. This is something I am so touched by, so inspired by, so I can't wait to hear more. And finally, Daneen has been a Posh Fest speaker, not just in the US, but also internationally in Canada. So as you guys can imagine, she has a lot of incredible tips and tricks for you today. The topic is sourcing and inventory tips and tricks with, again, Daneen, Fashionistas Fab Finds. I'm going to put the code Fashionistas Fab Finds here in the chat. And you can follow her on Instagram at Fashionistas Fab Finds, and also join List Perfectly with her code anytime for 30% off your first month with a 3-day money back guarantee. So if you're new to List Perfectly or looking for a way to get involved, this is a great way to just jump in. And without further ado, Daneen, we're so happy to have you. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. You know, I feel like I've gone through so much in my sourcing journey. I would love for people to learn from me, learn my mistakes, as well as the positive things that came out of my experience over the last 20 years, almost 20 years.
So incredible. And we're so happy to have you. I know that right now, more than ever, sourcing and inventory is so challenging. It really is. Just because obviously the world's changed so much. So this couldn't come at a better time for the community. And in just a moment, I'm going to share an amazing presentation that Daneen put together for everyone here at the LP fam. But I also want to just let everyone know beforehand that List Perfectly is doing a promotion right now where we shop your inventory. So all you have to do to get us to buy your inventory is post your link, your URL, in our Facebook community group, which I'm going to be posting the link to right now. And I'm going to have somebody also do that on YouTube. So essentially, you just are going to put your URL into the cover photo of our List Perfectly Facebook group. And then we're going to buy your inventory so that we can give it away every week as part of a mystery box that you can also win. So if you're looking for inventory, you can enter to win this inventory box that is completely filled with items from our community. Great way to give back. And now, without further ado, Daneen, I'm so excited to get started. I'm going to share my screen and the floor will be yours.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Everyone should be able to see my screen. I'm going to go into full screen right now. And we are ready. Daneen, just let me know when you want me to hit the next slide.
Okay, so right now I'm going to be talking about different sourcing strategies, especially in this pandemic. We're going to need to pivot our businesses as far as how we source. So next slide. Okay, so of course we know about, well, Letgo, which I believe is now OfferUp, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and the Facebook local group pickups, which are all great sources to find items for really inexpensive, if not free, because a lot of people want to get rid of their items. Everyone's cooped in the house, right? So they're looking at all their excess, and a lot of people don't want to go out and drop it off here and drop it off there. They would love someone to just come pick up for free, without having a garage sale and having interaction with people. So that's a really great place to find free merchandise, if not inexpensive merchandise in lots and bundles. And let me just incorporate List Perfectly a little bit in this segment, because I really have to say with Facebook Marketplace, that is also another avenue for you to be able to sell your items from List Perfectly to Facebook Marketplace. So it really acts as a, double entendre, a
Double side, it's a win-win.
It's a win-win. Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
So another way you can do it is by getting estate sales, garage sales. But really the biggest thing is I found that people at Plato's Closet, they tend to drop off garbage bags filled with items. And Plato's Closet is only giving about $3 to $5 an item for really expensive things. And they're only taking 10 things out of each load that people bring in most of the time. So what I'll do is I'll go, I'll just head out to the parking lot and give them my card. And I'll say, I see you have a lot of items here, whether it's a closed mentor, unique, a Plato's Closet, anything like that. And say, here's my card. I don't really have too much information on there. I have my name, I'll have my email, and I'll have my phone number, my cell phone number. And I'll say, listen, I sell online. So if you'd like me to look through your things and either buy out some of your items and offer you, pricing, or we could do consignment. So that's really, I have to say, a fantastic way. The other thing I'd like to touch upon are—
Wait, Daneen, can I just clarify for the community? So Daneen's actually, and let me know if I've got this correct, because I also really want to do this. So
okay.
You go to Plato's Closet, you basically talk to whoever is working there, and you let them know, hey, I know you get a ton of clothes coming in and not all of it fits in your store. So with your excess inventory, here's my card. I'm interested in purchasing it. Let's contact me if you're interested. Am I right?
To the customers going to Plato's Closet. So actually, I'm already in Plato's Closet shopping, because you can find really cheap inventory there for like $10 or $15, or they have Michael Kors bags at Savers and all these places for really inexpensive. You have to know what you're, obviously looking for. And I also like to look behind the counter, because that's where they have their best items. You have Hunter and all these other Hunter boots, and I've even found Lululemon, Love for Lemons, Jimmy Choo. It's all a hit or miss. Like this past weekend, I got Alexander Wang sneakers for $20. So, and that leads—
Quick question. So you're actually giving your card out to other people that are shopping there?
that have dropped off, and they're literally so mad because they have like 2 huge garbage bags filled that Plato's Closet said, no, we don't want that. So they're having to lug all their stuff back out to the parking lot. And I say, let me just go out there for a moment. So they're already aggravated. They're already disassociated themselves with the items. And I go, here's my card. If you're looking, for a buyout, or you want someone to go through your things or whatever it is, and boom, I've gotten a lot of customers that way.
That's awesome. Okay, so this is an amazing tip. And it really, I have this life motto. In life, you only get what you ask for. Like, worst case scenario, you don't get any inventory. Well, you didn't have any to begin with. So don't be afraid is what I want to let the audience know, just kind of to put yourself out there. So I was wondering if you have any tips, like how you're so outgoing. You have such an incredible personality. Not everyone is, I would say, like us, where we're just like, we're going to go up to you. So what are some tips for approaching people that you would say?
Okay. So when I go out there, I usually do it as they're leaving, and I'm like, you know what? Don't feel bad. I'll say it out loud, and if I get a good response, then that's my cue to, zoom in. Most people are really, really, really approachable. So really don't be afraid, especially in these times that we're in. Listen, we're all looking for different ways to make money. So, I'll go up and I don't feel so bad. I try to drop off 3 or 4 bags last week and nothing. Maybe they took 5 items, and then that starts a conversation. So you always want to find something to start a conversation, and that's common ground, because it's true. So,
Love that. So you say to them, don't feel bad. They don't take most of my stuff either. And then when they smile at you and they engage, you say, hey, here's my card. If you're looking to get rid of that huge bag you're carrying, I'm your girl, kind of. Okay. I love that. That's amazing. Yeah. Great. Okay. So back to the slides. I'm going to let you keep going, but thank you for the clarification.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay. So another way that I have found is charity organizations, PTA fundraisers, the bins, dry cleaners, shoe repair places, because they always have clauses in their contracts when you drop off your items that, if it's left here beyond 60 days, 90 days, or whatever the time frame is, they get to keep the item. Oh, so, these places want to get rid of all this merchandise, so you can either work out a consignment agreement or a buyout, or a lot of them I've had give me items for free. So it's, that is just a win-win. And if it's someplace that you frequent, they already know you, and they're familiar with you, and you can have a rapport already established with them. So that's really a win-win. Okay. And I wanted to talk about, the charitable organizations, because, so I have a lot of charities that I work with that are very close to my heart. One of them is, working with abused women or women coming out of jail, or, whatever the case is, as well as like Crohn's and colitis, AIDS and whatnot, for different reasons. Cancer fundraisers. Now, some of these women are trying to raise money just to go on these events. They're trying to raise $3,000, and they're getting donated thousands of pounds of clothing. So I have found the best way, instead of buying all the inventory, which I've done, or getting it for free because they just want to, or I shouldn't say free, I should say, they would donate the items for, say, 20 cents on the pound to Care Cycle or Savers. So I would say, I'll give you 50 cents on the item. And then, we would work out another agreement for all the high-end things that I would go through. Is really teaching them how to raise more money for themselves, because then my house just became a warehouse for too many items. So, that was really a big thing for me. And to know I'm making such a big difference on such a personal level, which I really, I really don't discuss much on social media, but that really was very big for me. to
I
know
love
that.
that. That's beautiful, Daneen. And that's one of the reasons that we really wanted to have you on today. I mean, of course, you have such great tips for sourcing and for resellers everywhere, but also the why and the mission behind what you do and the people you help. Women of domestic violence, women coming out of jail, women that really need help. You're giving back in such an important way to them. And as a female owned and led company at List Perfectly, we just are so inspired by you and we want to amplify your voice. So it's just so great to have you share that story that I know is so near and dear to your heart. And I, as a total personal side note, totally encourage you to continue to share that story because it's so inspiring. Just to speak for myself, it really inspires me so much and makes me think how I can give back. So I do want to just clarify. Oh, you're so welcome. I do want to just clarify because I want to make sure I'm understanding too. So I want to say as Sustainabay on Instagram, that's what I go by, Sustainabay. I'm very involved in sustainable fashion. And one of the facts I want to share right now is that 80% of the items that are donated to Goodwill do not make it to their shelves. They have to either send them to landfills or do other kinds of things to liquidate their items. And that is pretty much an industry standard across all charities, all charity stores. So let's say a charity does a clothing drive to raise money for their charity, right? So they'll ask members of the community to come give them great stuff. And then they'll try to sell them on auction. Am I right? Like, is that what's happening? But the charity itself has leftover goods from these.
Well, the people that are volunteering for the charity have chances to go on these trips and get it paid for, all expenses paid, but they have to raise, say, $3,000 to go on the trip. And so they have ads that they put out on Facebook or, using their contacts within the organization, and they get donated because these people know that they're in certain situations, whether it was an abusive situation or, that they're ill and, they don't have money, and they get donated all these goods. And the only place that they found was to send it to Care Cycle or Savers for 20 cents on the pound. So I literally went in, I saw an opportunity to help and, also, learn. I learned how to, acquire goods for myself, but I really found it more rewarding to help them sell for themselves.
That's incredible. Oh, I love that.
So
much.
But as far as what I'd like to do is talk about the bins a little bit. And so that would go on to the next slide.
For sure.
Okay. So for those of you who don't know, I wanted to make sure I got a picture in there of just a bin somewhere. And this is pretty much what they look like, and people pretty much, you go digging. So each bin has, these are the Goodwill bins. They have different, pricing structures. You can pay 99 cents a pound to $1.69 a pound. It could include shoes or not include shoes. Just to give you a little background story about myself, I've probably been to about 12 different states bins. So, New York, New Jersey, all the way to Colorado, to California, Las Vegas, I've been to bins all over the place. So each of them have different rules and different strategies I like to incorporate, which I'll talk about in a minute. But now I just wanted to make a side note that with the pandemic that we're in, they do have different guidelines as far as entering the bins. From what I understand, you have to wait outside and they let X amount of people in when it's time. So they will literally, what they do with these blue bins is they'll take them out to refresh 3 or 4 times a day, where it's all different merchandise. Okay, so you have an opportunity after it's all picked through by everybody there to have new merchandise to pick through. And they do that 3 or 4 times a day. So what they're doing with that is everyone needs obviously the face mask and the gloves. They have to wait outside once they're done. And That's just the way it's changed. But this is a way to get really, really inexpensive merchandise. I have found Gucci hats. I have found Roberto Cavalli. One of my favorite bins around here is actually in Delaware. So I find the structure of it run very well. And another way here we have here is on Poshmark. This is just a little sourcing tip. If you want to know what's trending and whatnot, you go right on to the browser page of Poshmark and you look at the bottom and you see what's trending and what things you might want to look for within Poshmark. And also with the Goodwill Bins, another strategy I have would be to maybe look for all the things that Forever 21, Justice, whatever Plato's might like to take from you, trending new items. So we'll take that to the next slide. Yes, okay, so I'll take things from the bins and take them right over to Plato's Closet. So I'm paying by the pound for these items and sending them over there, and I'm getting $3 to $5, not even caring. So, and those are things that most people at the bins are not looking for because they're looking for more of the designer, for the electronics, for the book. As well, when I go to the bins, I like to have a strategy. So I will line myself up. I'll head straight for shoes because they have a whole row of, say, 2 or 3 bins just for shoes, because that's my thing. They have big bags, huge garbage bags. Sometimes you don't know what's in them. It's like a treasure hunt, and you can race to the other side to get those, and they're filled with clothes, or they're filled with quilts and sheets. They have toys in the back. It's really, you know, it's really a treasure hunt for people. So also what I like to do is I like to create relationships with all these stores. So a lot of places will tell me when they're getting new merchandise, even at the bins. I'll create relationships with the people there, and they're like, listen, at 2 o'clock, we're changing the bin, so come back, you know. They'll tell me when they're putting out new merch. So in Savers, they'll have, you know, the middle of the day on Thursday is the best merchandise they put out. So they tell me, and we kind of work something out. Okay, you tell me where to go. So relationships with people are so important. I can't stress that enough. Okay, so now Salvation Army sales, obviously 1 day a week, they have everything on sale. And what I like to do is all the colors, except for the very new merchandise, is on sale, usually 50% off. I'll either go the day before and kind of look for things, because the best stuff is usually hidden because they're waiting for the 50% off. So I'll take a hit and pay a little bit up. You know, I'll pay the $9.99 as opposed to $5, but at least I know I'm getting Giorgio Armani or whatever, you know, vintage Levi's or whatever that's been hidden in the racks. And let's see what else. Oh, okay. So ads on Facebook. Okay, so what I do here is you have companies like Savers or other companies that will place ads for wanted goods, and people will comment underneath. So they'll comment, hey, Georgia, this is great for our PTA fundraiser. We can just donate all our stuff there. And they're only getting 20 cents a pound. So I'll DM them, hey, left you a DM. And so they check their messages, and that's when I say, hey, you know, my name's Daneen. If you want to look me up, this is what I do. But, you know, this is what they're offering. And if you would like another avenue to sell your items or another place to buy out your pricier items, I can help you, teach you how I do it, and also take some goods.
That's so smart. So you go to the ads run by Savers, by wherever, by Plato's, and that are saying, hey, we're looking for winter coats. And then somebody comments, I have a ton of winter coats, or this is perfect. We just got a huge donation of winter coats from our community. Like, I'll be bringing them in. And so then you message them and you say, hey, Savers or whatever store offers X, Y, and Z for this, for your inventory. And if you want another avenue. This is what I do. Just recapping. This is what I do. I'm willing to like offer you something better than what they are going to pay you so that you can get the most for your goods. And I would also be happy to show you how I do it. So in the future, you can make more money on your items, essentially.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Gotta think out of the box.
I swear to God, my mind is like that emoji, like the emoji, like my brain is like, you're blowing my mind. It's amazing. It's so out of the box. It's so genius. So wait, I also have a question about the bins, and I also want to encourage everybody, please drop your questions in the chat. We're going to get to your questions too at the end of this. So when it comes to the bins, do you recommend staying all day, like just planning a bins day, since they're like always upping and recycling like a new batch? Okay.
Yes, most bins are not close to people. So I would recommend spending a whole day there, but going in and out, ebbing in and out, depending on how your bin is. You know, if it's a really busy bin like the one in New York, you kind of got to stick around a little bit. But, you know, I like to bring a change of clothes. I bring eye drops. I'll put my hair in a hat. I'll, you know, make a lunch date with some girlfriends. So we'll ebb in and out, but we'll make sure it's a full day. Full day thing. I make sure to have garbage bags in my car in a bin already, so the items do not smell in your car. That's very important. Obviously the mask and the gloves, you know, everybody, you have to watch for glass in the bottom, all that sort of stuff. But yes, I would recommend a day.
Awesome. Good to know.
If you're not close to it.
Of course.
Okay. Also, I want to say, let's see, I'm trying to think of how I want to do this. You can go on Alibaba online. You can go on eBay wholesale for jewelry.
What is eBay wholesale? Is that
I just look up eBay and then I put wholesale lots of jewelry or wholesale earrings. You know, it's all about the keywords that you use, and then you can actually see what they have for sale. But the thing I like about eBay as opposed to some other sites is that you can return it if the quality is not to your liking. So I found, I like to sell watches and, you know, certain watches. And I found that, you know, certain manufacturers were better than others, and they've actually given me the items. You know, if I don't like the quality, they'll just give it to me. So I'm like, okay, because they don't want to pay for return shipping and whatnot. So I found that was very important. So I like to buy off season. I'll go to TJ Maxx or I'll go to Macy's. You know, they have these great big sales when the products are off season. And usually they call them red ticket, then yellow ticket. And yellow ticket is discounted the most. Or Nordstrom Rack, you know, to look for items over there. For vintage jewelry, I like to look on Facebook. Believe it or not, a lot of these local marketplaces, they want to sell vintage lots. And I acquired a lot of vintage pieces for myself, as well as Etsy. And I also want to give a very important piece of advice. Whenever you go to these places like Savers or Plato's or Unique or any of these thrift shops, join their mailing groups, because the emails that they sent you always have incentives for you to shop in them. Plus, like with Plato's, you're getting a whole point system. So every 200 points, you get $10. So if you're dropping off merchandise and they're giving you money for your goods that you bought at the bins per se, and they're giving you $200 for all your items, guess what? You're getting 200 points. They're giving you $10 credit to shop in their store. And with that $10 at Plato's, that could be a new pair of, you know, a new Kate Spade bag, you know, because their prices are so expensive. So they have a system where they can't mark up things past a certain dollar amount. So that is really, really, really important. Plus, if you shop there, you get points as well. So all these places have certain point structures, really important. Okay,
cool.
Now we'll get
your store say, go to their website and see if they have a program. Like just they're always on the websites, you know, these programs. So make sure you're taking advantage of those.
Okay, so now, before I go into consignment contract, which is really important, I just want to say, I feel like with List Perfectly, the sky is not the limit for me. It really isn't. My options are limitless. And I really like to tell everybody this because I started on eBay in 2002. And then I worked my way. I did Craigslist. I did this. I did that. I found Poshmark. And I found myself, since I'm part-time, overwhelmed to list on so many different platforms until I found List Perfectly. So now I don't feel as overwhelmed. And I feel like if I want to pick up that puzzle set, I'm going to do that. If I know jerseys are moving on Mercari, well, I'm going to do that too. I'll take that. And then I'll just go on to List Perfectly. Boom, boom, boom. It's all done. And that has changed my sourcing game tremendously. And I don't feel overwhelmed. So thank you guys for that, because really with List Perfectly, your options are limitless. And I'm going to keep saying that because it's just true. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't.
No, thank you so much for those kind words, but yes, very true. And I want to make sure people are really thinking about that, especially because times are changing so much. If you really think about it, and I want to shout out to like the List Perfectly members right now. If you're not on List Perfectly, you should be on List Perfectly. It'll save you 80% of the time that it takes to list. So you'll be cutting your time by, literally 80%, which took you 5 hours, now takes you 1 hour. So yes, do it. But now if you are a member of List Perfectly, I think something that Daneen is doing that not all of our members are doing that you absolutely can and should be doing to get to be a six-figure part-time. Let me really emphasize that. She's a six-figure part-time seller, right? So if you want to hit those huge sales numbers, we always preach at List Perfectly, don't limit yourself to one marketplace and one audience. There are different audiences on every marketplace, and that's why you should use List Perfectly to reach them all. But to take it a step further, don't limit yourself to one category. Don't limit yourself to just clothing. Don't limit yourself to just shoes, because antiques sell on eBay. Different like memorabilia sell on Depop. Jerseys, as you just said, sell on Mercari, and also equipment I've seen selling on Mercari, like basketballs and just different things like sell on different platforms. So don't limit yourself to just one category. And I think for those of you that are really trying to step up in 2021 and make more sales, just try to, when you're outsourcing, to say, you know what, I'm going to push myself to source 10% outside of the category that I typically source, and use List Perfectly to cross-post those items to the right platforms. Yeah, okay, so your antique dish might not be for Poshmark. It, by the way, very well could be. But it might not be. It might be better for eBay, and that's okay, because that's what List Perfectly is for, is to help you quickly get the items in your catalog, your LP catalog, to the right marketplaces. So Daneen, more power to you. And I'm so glad you brought this up, because it's something we don't always talk about. So thank you for that.
Oh yeah, it's the truth. I wouldn't stand behind, everybody knows me, I would not stand behind List Perfectly if it wasn't a game changer and a life changer for me. My husband appreciates you guys and all the time you have saved.
Aww, shout out to the hubby.
Because you can actually go on List Perfectly and I can bulk copy my items, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I could do it. I could just hit copy, and do 10, 20. I could do my whole closet just like that. So it's,
love that.
Yeah.
And List Perfectly is the only service that has bulk cross posting beyond 10 items. We actually got a letter from one of our customers that said that they did 150 at a time.
Oh my God.
it is dependent on the speed of your internet and the quality of your device, how many items you can actually bulk cross post at once. But really the sky is the limit, and there is no actual top line in terms of a limitation on how much you can cross post. We've even had people say that they've done 300 items at once. So
wow,
cross posting is definitely something that makes LP the best in terms of saving time.
Yes. And
Okay.
so now I'm going to talk about just a little briefly about consignment contracts.
Sure.
And, I made sure to make some.
We did go over these already. So just a heads up, the slides will be linked in the YouTube after this. So you'll have access to these slides. Thanks to Daneen. Okay. Should I go to the next slide?
Let me see. Don't overbuy. Okay. So before consignment, I guess I'll close up the sourcing strategy as far as this goes. Yes, we went over everything, but I just really want to stress that you need to not overbuy, because that's a big one. You want to focus on the quality items that you've picked out, and do a little bit at a time, whether it's 10, 20. Make sure that you check all your items by the light before you leave whatever store you're in, and make sure you bring your phone. Do not go all the way to the bins, a 2-hour drive, and not have your phone with you for you to comp whatever you have as your goods. And also at the bins, from what I understand, they changed it up a little bit where you're not allowed to just throw things in your cart. You have to keep them. You can't throw them back. So really know what you're getting because of the pandemic. So that's really important. I check labels to see if it's made in Italy or China or wherever. If it's made in Italy, you better believe I'm going to grab it and take a look at it later if I'm in the store. I look for leather. I look for the feel of silk. I found a Chanel bag because I knew it was lambskin. So then I checked the zipper, and sure enough, it was real Chanel, and I flipped it in 2 days. I paid $39.99. I flipped it for over $700. So that would,
What a flip.
Yeah, that was one of my quickest flips, because at that point, I sent it into a site and they authenticated it for me. I think it was Rebag or something like that. And they said, sure, we'll take it. And I said, okay. Sold. And it wasn't vintage, it wasn't new, it was kind of in between. But because I noticed that the leather, I went inside of it and I really inspected it. So I like to know a little bit about designer goods before I go in. I'll even bring up on my phone designer lists online that I find from ThreadUp Luxe or The Real. They have these designer lists. So I'm always checking my phone. Go with an extra battery because if your phone conks out, you'll have that battery. So those are all very important things. Those are very important strategies when going sourcing. So yeah.
So helpful.
Yes.
Really. I mean, we're learning so much. It's awesome.
Okay. Also, as far as comps, I'll check Google. I have an app called Sellhound. And in Sellhound, they'll give you what it's selling for and what the average price is listed on all different websites, Poshmark, Mercari, eBay, everything. All you have to do is punch in the information. So that is like wonderful. I check Poshmark comps to make sure. I check they're sold. Never check what the item is selling for. It could be selling for $1 million, but it's only selling sold for $30. So something is only worth.
The filter sold. That's what you do.
Correct.
You add that like filter to apply it.
Correct.
Great.
Something's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it.
So true.
I will set a timer to make sure I have balance within my day. If I only want to spend a half an hour in this place and then I got to go home and cook, I make sure I set the timer. Like I said, I don't overbuy. And with a place like Savers or Unique, Value Village, I believe it's all the same owner, just different names in different states. You always bring something to donate because you will always get a 20% off coupon for the day.
Oh my God, that's genius.
Always.
I've never done that.
Yes, always. I don't care if you take pillows in a bag and send it to them and go, here you go. And they go, you want a coupon? And you get a tax write-off, a sheet for a tax write-off. So you're getting 2 things. And then, so that's really, really important. Unless you go on Tuesday and you bring your mom or your grandma or somebody with you that's over the age of 55, then you get a senior discount. So you could say, hey, let's go to coffee and go to Savers. You know, also Rakuten is very important. I have that as an app listed in my bio, Fashionistas Fab Finds on Instagram. So you can actually download the app and then you can buy through there online and get additional discount. So these are just little strategies that I have. Okay, so I think that's it for the slide. So now let's talk a little bit about consignment contracts. Okay, so with consignment contracts,
are you seeing the next slide? I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna get right over to it. It just seems as if my computer, is there a next slide for that?
Nope, there's no next slide, girl.
Okay, I was like, am I missing something here? So we'll just keep it on video so that we can just see your lovely face.
Okay, great. Okay, so as far as consignment contracts, okay, so I like to add names. Obviously, you don't want to forget that. The date. You want to include little things like, you know, not little things, but how long you're going to hold on to the goods for. So if it's going to be 60 days or 90 days, what happens to the goods afterwards? So there are some options that you can have. You can write whether or not the customer wants to donate them to charity or a percentage of them, whether they want to do pickup. I like to only get items from people in my area and people that I'm comfortable with, you know, so people that I know. That's how you can start off with people that you know and work it out. Or if you're going to do further price drops. So if you do further price drops on it, you can include that in. And I like to include it in because I want it to be at my own discretion. So items that I like to get, I like to give people a range of what I think that they'll go for. So if someone has a Gucci bag and they're really particular about their price, I might take it, I might not. You know, it depends. I might say, okay, well, this is what it's going for. You know, I might need to price drop it. Is that okay with you? If it's not, I don't think we can really do business on this with this. You know, you just have to be really confident and firm and you know what you're doing. And people will generally respond to that well. I also have an addendum page. So I'll take only X amount of items at a time, not to overwhelm myself. And then you also should be taking pictures of the items. So you take a photograph of the addendum page, you take the pictures of the items and you send it to the customer. And, you know, that's something that the Real does. When they have white glove service, they used to come to your home, take pictures, tell you yes, no, no, yes, make a list right in the iPad and send it right to you. So
true.
Yes.
So that for those of you that are kind of wondering, you know, how to get started with a consignment contract, I want to say that I also have a lot of experience with consignment. That's how I got most of my items. Just because, I mean, yes, I love thrifting, but I find myself buying stuff for me way too much where I'm like, oh my God, I just want to shop. I just want to, you know, right. I get too much in customer mode versus sourcing mode. So consignment has been truly a way for me to not be able to buy for myself and have responsibility. And it actually taught me a lot about just consignment and the resale world in general. So the reason you want to have a contract whenever you're sourcing from friends or family is because it's a relationship. And this is a relationship outside of your friendship, outside of your family relationship. It's a business deal. So having all the expectations, even things you think you don't need to say, you need to say them on this contract. You know, what happens if I lose your item? Hey, if I lose your item, that's something that can happen. I cannot control if an item gets lost, if it gets stolen. That is going to be a complete loss to you. And when they see it in the form of a contract and you explain the contract line by line to them, it's not personal. It's not like, hey, I don't really care about you, or hey, I'm trying to, pull one on you. It's just a contract thing. So you really have to think about all of the scenarios that could happen. Hey, if I have your item after 6 months, do I bring it back to you? Or do I have the right to sell it for anything I see fit And I mean the word anything, right? Like any price could be $1, could be 50 cents. Like, so you want to put those types of things in your contract and know that in good faith, of course, you're as the reseller, you have incentive to sell it for the most you can, because that'll be something you have in your contract. You'll agree to them, hey, we're going to split the price 50-50. Hey, we're going to split 80-20. Hey, we're going to split 60-40. And of course, you're motivated to sell it for the most you can. So it is a relationship, and you do want to do the best that you can for people, but you want to have in your contract what will happen if you do the worst for people, right? Make sure that that's in your contract. Is it what happens in the worst case scenario?
Yeah, even with floods in the house, or, you know, if God forbid there's something that happens to the merchandise, you want to make sure. But at the same token, you also want to, I've put in, you know, your items will be stored, bagged,
so
you know, in a safe, good place that I, you know, in this area.
Also highlight the things you're doing to respect the merchandise. Your items will be listed using List Perfectly on 5 different marketplaces, right? That's something that will make them immediately want to work with you, because I can't even tell you from my consignment clients how many of them go, I want to list. By the way, I bought this from one of my consignment people on Poshmark. But, so, you know, it's like, I will list, like the person that had this was so overwhelmed. They were like, I want to sell this. Should I list it on eBay? Should I list it on Trade? Like, I don't know where to list it. I'm like, you want to list it everywhere. Like, that's why, you know, I do what I do. And so that is a big sell point as well. And it's really a reason that people will want to consign with you. So yes, Daneen really said it best. Highlight and show off the things you're doing to do your best, and then prepare them for what happens if you do your worst, and make sure that's all up front. So consignment contracts are definitely a great way to get things sold. And all you have to do is make some posts on your Instagram, on your Facebook. Hey guys, I am as many of you know, I resell things online. I know that COVID is a hard time, and many of us just want to clean out our closets or make extra money. If you have a bag of clothes, hit me up, message me. Contact me, and I will help you get rid of your stuff in the most safe, effective, and ideally make the most money with it.
Yes, and I have another little tidbit that I didn't share this past weekend about an app called Flip, FLYP. So I have the link to it in my bio, in my Instagram, Fashionistas Fab Finds, and what it is, it's a consignment site. So you apply to become a pro seller. Once they approve you, you get a code, you go in, you verify yourself with, you can do a license or whatever, you can tie your bank account, and then they have people you can choose to, you write a little cover letter about yourself, to get their items sent to you for free for consignment. So you set your own consignment prices, and make sure that's in your contract too, how much money you want, whether it's 30% to 60%, and you make sure you let your people know these different sites take different cuts, they take different percentages. So you'll be splitting that after,
right?
You know, after the Poshmark takes their 20%, or
smart.
eBay. But yes, this site called Flip is like a game changer. So basically, you could peruse through people's lots, which I was just doing that last night, as a matter of fact. And then you can bid on it, you know, bid to be the seller, so to speak. So put in your application to that customer, and then all of the speaking, any communication has to go on through Flip, and then you literally get it sent to your doorstep, so you don't even have to leave your house. And if it's anything like a Louis Vuitton or a Gucci, Flip will actually authenticate that for you. And right now, since they're so new, they'll do all the shipping for free. There's no extra fees in Flip. So I found that very interesting. I'm not like speaking for them or anything, but I found that very interesting. So I'm going to start using that because they're new.
Love that.
Yeah.
Daneen, I have a question for you before we take
Sure.
questions from the audience. So if you have questions, please drop them in here. I do see Clara and Chelsea from the List Perfectly team are joining us. So if you guys see any questions on YouTube, please do drop them here in the Zoom chat so we can answer them. But Daneen, do you recommend with a consignment contract having a moving scale for how much you split items for? I personally never did, but like, what is the percentage that you think is the best?
I like 60-40, period. I won't, only because of the years that I've been doing this, since I've been doing it for so long, and now it lists perfectly. I can actually list on so many different sites. That's what I want, 60-40. And
So
I also
more for
hired
you or
someone.
more for them?
60 for me.
Yeah.
40 for them, because I'm
Yeah.
going to be doing the shipping. I'm just going to be doing all the work.
And customer service as well. You know, it's with some sites, it's not guaranteed. With eBay, you might be, doing a return, and that's something you should put in your contract as well. For eBay, if I list there, like, be aware that there may be a return. If it goes into returns, here's how I do it.
And
So,
when they get paid, and
yes.
how people will get paid.
Yes.
So usually like to do at the end of the month, whatever sold, and that gives me enough time. But before you really get into these consignment contracts, you need to be super, super, super organized. So you really need to be organized where you're going to put and how you're going to put different people's merchandise, and have your spreadsheets ready to go, or, Word Perfect, however you want to do it. You need to have your data in there organized, or you'll be in a hot mess.
Makes total sense. Oh, thank you so much, Daneen. This was so informative. I've learned so much. I swear I've been sitting here like, wait, what? Like 20% off at Savers for donating? Like, all the money I could have saved. RIP to all that money I could have saved. So, oh man, I'm talking about years, you guys. Like, I just lost thousands of dollars. Great. But now I won't do it again. So I'm so happy, Daneen, for all these incredible tips and tricks. Really also want to emphasize that List Perfectly is the best way to get your inventory to the right audiences on the right marketplaces, and expand your inventory list beyond clothing, beyond shoes, into other categories that you can make more money and grow your top line. And that is just a fact. When you offer more products and a bigger range of categories, you open yourself up to so much more in terms of sales. So, and you never know, somebody could literally be looking for a photo frame on Etsy and then see all of the other stuff you had, but they were just looking for a photo frame. And in that moment, Etsy is a great platform that List Perfectly offers cross-posting to, that is outside of fashion as well. So people can really discover you as a source for all of the other inventory you have by offering these other types of products. Let's say you were offering Christmas ornaments right now, and that's what someone's Googling or searching for on Etsy. And then they see, oh, wow, you have all of these clothes. Now they've just discovered you, and they wouldn't have unless you had those Christmas ornaments. So I really love that you brought up, and again, List Perfectly allows you to cross-post all of those different types of categories. Okay, so we're gonna take one question that I saw here, but before we do, Fashionistas Fab Finds, typing it out on Instagram. Follow Daneen, tell her how much you loved her session. She's here. Look at like all this great advice she just gave. This is the type of content you'll see on her page all the time. So you can have more Daneen, don't worry, every day on IG.
They don't want more me, trust me.
Oh, I want more. I definitely want more. I'm going to speak for myself here. And also you can join with her code for 30% off your first month. So we have a question about driving to the Goodwills in a different state. Isn't that expensive?
Not really. When you know that the merchandise you're going to get, you're only paying 99 cents or $1.25 a pound. And that's why it's very important to spend the day, because it increases your chances of getting items. We've never walked out of there with less than 20 pounds of merchandise.
Wow.
Ever.
20 pounds.
Ever. That's on the low end. Just because you have shoes that you factor into that, bags, shoes. I've gotten, like I said, Kate Spade and whatnot. So you have to factor all of that into your into your day. So I have on a spreadsheet, I have what I spent in gas. I usually like to go with someone. This way we split the tolls and we split the gas. Very, very, very important. And you can make the cost go down by, you know, bringing your own lunch and whatnot. So that can be, but that's why I think it's important to, you know, make sure you allot a good amount of time when you go there. But you'll find something. And even if you buy the Plato's Closet merchandise or the for Encore or Closet Mentor, which are two other thrift shops, they'll pay you a lot of times that will cover your gas or to cover the tolls, you know. So it's really, you know, I've traveled for free all throughout the country because I literally have gone to the thrift shops or the Goodwill Bins and the Goodwill Bins to cover all my expenses.
Makes total sense. And also it is really great. I'm just now thinking out loud that you do record things like how much you spent for lunch, how much you paid for tolls, how much you paid for gas, because then you can actually do the math and say, is this worth it or not? When you see how much you earn on what you spent, you add that to what you've spent at the Goodwill Bins and then see you know, how it turns out. So that's so smart, Daneen. Daneen, we're out of time, but thank you so much for joining us. I've learned so much. This was a fantastic webinar. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
No, thank you. And I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face, you know, with List Perfectly. It's been a game changer, a life changer, and your options are really limitless.
Thank you, Daneen. And I just want to say one more time, we are buying your inventory for our seller source mystery boxes on Facebook List Perfectly group. We have the cover photo at the top of the page. You're going to comment your URL there. And then every week we are giving away a box full of inventory that you can get sourced straight from our giveaway, which is filled with items from the LP family. So just a really great way to give back, to be, like you said, a win-win. You can either get your inventory in the box or you can win the box. Great ways to source as well. We're always trying to help you, again, work smarter, not harder. So thank you so much, Daneen. We really appreciate you.
Appreciate you too.
Have a
And
great
thank
day,
you,
everyone.